We already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the things that we're going to do in reference to it, and we're trying to get Boko Haram as part of that. Now, what will happen if we're unable to convince the most important people that Boko Haram ought to be such declared?
Well, my view is that it would be declared very soon, sooner than later, you know, given what is happening now. I think there are some political sensitivity towards the Nigerian government, you know, not to declare them, you know, a foreign terrorist organization, because it might affect, you know, a whole lot of things in relationship with the government. You know, travelers and all that. More travelers might come under more scrutiny from the north and all that if they are declared. So I think that's part of the problem, being diplomatically sensitive to the Nigerian government. However, given their history now, I think it would be appropriate for the government to really declare them a foreign terrorist organization, because that's what they are. You know, that's what they are.
When they start bombing churches and killing civilians and they're trying to take over sections of the country,
that's correct.
I mean, what else does it take to be called a terrorist organization?
And United Nations buildings, you know, all that. That's an international building there. You're bombing. The Americans in there, British in that building, so they should be declared a foreign terrorist organization. That's exactly what they are. Because if you don't, you know, and they grow stronger, they will threaten the Nigerian government more. Now, they don't lack recruits. Okay? They don't lack recruits. Because the more the Nigerian police, which are ill-equipped and ill-trained, you know, fight them, the more they get more recruits. So the one way that the U.S. government can help the Nigerian government is to train those policemen more, not only in counter-insurgency, but a way to deal with civilians. You see, the police force there is so oppressive and vicious to its own civilians that people are scared to tell the police anything.
They try to keep law and order and keep everything under control in a real sense, and so they're not in favor of First Amendment rights and et cetera.
That's correct, and that alienates a lot of people. So, you know, a police force cannot fight an insurgency when you can't get intelligence from the people. Intelligence is the most important thing in fighting any insurgency.
And the people don't want to have anything to do with this.
And the people don't want to have anything to do with the police, because they are scared if they give police information, they might be arrested themselves, instead of police saying thank you and deal with the information. So that's a big problem, and that's what, you know, is alienating the part of that country, because anytime somebody gets shot, the police just goes in and starts shooting without, you know.
They shoot first and they ask questions later.
They shoot first and ask questions later. And it shouldn't be that way. If you are fighting an insurgency, the #1 cardinal rule is winning the hearts and minds of the people. But the police, instead of winning those hearts and minds, they alienate those hearts and minds. So it's very critical that the police force need to be completely overhauled and trained in community policing. They should be a friend of the community, not the enemy. But right now, almost everybody in the country sees them as the enemy, not as a friend.
And Boko Haram can build upon that in terms of what you're talking about recruiting. And you can look around and they've got all of the dissatisfied and disengaged folks in the country that are now on their side because the police are forcing them in a real sense into Boko Haram.
Absolutely, that's what's happening now. In fact, they say some soldiers are deserting now, some policemen are deserting. Well, they say they are deserting because they are not being paid. But my hunch is that's not the reason. They are sympathizers of Boko Haram.
Boko Haram.
Yeah, and they don't want to fight them because a lot of them come from that part of the country. So they're throwing away their uniforms and deserting, quietly joining Boko Haram. And that's what's going on.
Well, Dr. Madu, I think we've got about a minute left before we end this show for today, but I think that this is an eye-opener in a real sense for the American government, and I think the government already understands that there's a problem, but I don't think that we've put enough attention or paid enough attention. I think that this last recent Christian bombing and et cetera sort of brought more attention to Nigeria, but so you're saying is that we can expect much more of that unless we become more involved in reference to trying to deal with this Boko Haram threat.
Exactly, in trying to retrain the Nigerian police, particularly in counter-insurgency.
Very good. And of course, Dr. Madu, let me thank you for bringing by that excellent information in reference to this terrorist group. And I think, as we've said before, that it seems that you've got a lot of information that only